One thing about the in-home, I feel like a lot of people struggle in one thing: one, building the trust with the client, and the second thing, build the value, right? And that the two things that I've realized a lot of people are struggling with. So number one, when you build the trust by building that rapport with them, right? By talking about anything but life insurance, talk about soccer, football, kids, dogs, cats, whatever it is, right? So that's one thing you gotta build a trust. A lot of people they go in straight to the point. Yeah, I mean we all want to be in and out, but the one thing is, if you're not building a solid rapport with the client, they're not gonna really trust you, right? Especially when you start asking for their social security number and their running account number. I mean that's very confidential. Okay, one second, let me just close the door. So that's normally like very confidential. So they're not gonna really share it with you if they don't know you or they don't trust you. So the other one thing I've realized a lot of people they're actually struggling with that part. The other thing is when we say like build value, build value into their why. Um, and assume, don't just ask what their why is, because a lot of them they're not gonna just tell you, right? So if you just assume what their why is, so if I'm sitting down with Brian and I'm like, all right, Brian, so I assume we're doing this to protect your two kids. Well, guess what? I already figured what their why is when building a report. So the report has already been built, I already built that trust, and I already built that why included in there. So now when I'm sitting down, when I'm talking about your why, I'm assuming what's your why is. I'm not just asking you what your why is. Because a lot of people, they're not gonna tell you. You're just gonna have to assume it, and that way you can actually use that against them, right? So I'm sitting with you, okay, you have no life insurance, and I'm assuming we're doing this for your two little kids. Is that correct? Right? A lot of them they gotta tell you, yes, correct. Another thing I've realized actually, to come up with high premiums, I've realized one thing. Um, I actually try now lately to actually talk people down. I'm not focusing on selling on a high level anymore. I've realized that the cancellation rate is going really down on me. So I'm like, my persistence is really bad. So that's why I've realized it was part of the selling on a high level, right? So now a lot of times, even though I build and get that 10% disposable income, yet I still try to talk them down to a smaller coverage just as they need. So they have $100,000 mortgage now, and their disposable income is $300. Then I let them know, okay, we have about $300 to spend, but hopefully we don't get that much. And then at this point, when I get down to, crushing the numbers, and let's say I find out that $100,000 coverage worth 150, I'm still gonna sell it 150. I'm not gonna go $300. But one, that builds actually better trust between you and the client, and two, your business will stay in the book a little longer at least. Um, and I kind of learned that the hard way, by the way. So the one thing is, um, best build value into their why, build value into the coverage, right? So, for example, this is going to cover in the event of death, any critical illness, terminal illness, chronic illness, disability, whatever it is. You just actually build value in those living benefits, build value in disability rider if you add it on, build value into additional insured. You build value into, you can just include those and just build value into those, right? Hey, I'm gonna cover you and your husband to one policy. It's gonna be about this price only a month, which is really not that bad. I mean, considering we have about $300 a month, so I'm gonna keep you both together in about 200, $220 a month. That's not bad at all. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and get this started. I just need that void check, please. Right? Third thing that I've noticed, a lot of people get really excited when you actually go in the home. You have that upkeep, and the one thing is you want to keep it very calm, no matter what kind of objection they give you. You don't want to like raise your voice. You gotta kind of control your emotion, right? It's very hard to get stressed. It's very easy to get stressed and very easy to get frustrated. The thing is, that frustration will go along to your next appointment. If you feel like you're very frustrated, actually, I had that happen last Thursday. I actually got a bunch of no-shows. I was annoyed. I was frustrated. But yet, I actually stepped by in a plaza, actually, and I parked in there and I just started to think, what can I do different? Right? I didn't think, oh, it's the client's fault. I was starting thinking, what can I do different here? Right? Just like when I notice what my persistency is down, I start thinking, what can I do different to bring that up? So the one thing is, it's very easy to get frustrated, and when you get frustrated, it's very easy to stop playing. So before you blame anyone, before you start point finger at yourself first. Figure out what you're doing that you could do in different to actually you know, build more value with the clients and actually sell those clients, right? When I say build value of their emotion. This is an emotional sale. This is not a roof. You're not putting roof on their home or flooring or a car in the driveway. This is literally emotional sale. This is sale based on their death, what's gonna happen to their loved one. Okay. That's why you gotta build value into their emotion, right? And that's the one thing I do a little bit better now is I build a lot of value into their emotion. I dig deep into their emotion. I had a client cry about losing her husband. She cried, and she's actually already with her new husband. But yet she was crying about her previous husband just because I was building it based on her emotion. I was talking to her about her emotion, what's hurting her the most. Why would she consider this now? Like, why did she consider it in the past? Right? I try to figure all that out. Another thing is, I can tell you right now, if you guys are not putting 90 days or 100 appointments in, you're not going to learn those objections. Those objections, overcoming those objections, going through their emotion, doing all that fun stuff, it's not gonna be easy to do it like from the first week. It's just not. I mean, it's gonna take you a while to actually figure things out here. One thing is, I always, I always call it 90 days. I would say 90 days or 100 appointments, that will get you out there. And when I say 90 days, I'm not saying 90 days, work a week, take off a week, work another week, take another 2 weeks off. No, I mean like dig in it for like 6 days straight, work, run 30, 35 appointments a week, work your butt off on there. Because I promise you, the results will come afterward. The results not gonna be within the first week. And here's the one thing, we do the thing, that's a saying I read. It says we do the thing that other don't to have the result that other won't, right? It's it's the thing that we do here. It results not gonna come within first week or first 90 days. No, it results probably it might take a long time before you can see results, but results are there. If you're willing to work and put the hard work in, there's always gonna be results. Um, I keep it like I mentioned last time. Everybody know the steps here because I know I repeated myself multiple times on those. But I keep my in-home into five-step process still. I'm not sharing any of those steps yet, or at all. All I do is just, as I'm going through those steps, I'm not showing the client I'm going based on a step process, right? I'm not saying, okay, I did this step, or what the next step is. I'm trying to figure it out. No, just kind of like go with the flow, right? Go with the flow with what the client, just make sure you always have the right mindset when you're talking to the client, right? Don't go in there stressed because you didn't sell the previous one, because the client will smell that commission breath on you, and I promise you, commission breath stinks. So because yeah, you're not gonna be able to sell it. So the one thing is, make sure you actually not getting sorry about that. So make sure you're not actually getting any okay, so we're just sorry about that, guys. I just got a nice little email from a client. So the one thing is you just want to make sure that you're not getting frustrated and pulling that off on your client, right? That's the one thing that a lot of people are struggling with is trying to they're getting stressed out, frustrated, and all of a sudden they're just bringing this over to a client where they actually can see that, and it's just gonna make it even worse. Okay. Um, the step process, which for the new guys who are here, I keep them into 5 step building a report. So, like I mentioned, build that report. And second thing, we do the um, figure out their why, which, like I mentioned, you're assuming what their why is. You're not just saying, hey, what's your why? No, we're assuming it, right? And because you already built that report, so you already know what it is. And then third step is financial. That's when I dig deep into their finances and figure out that 10% of disposable income. Now, here's the one thing about the finances. It's not always going to be 10%. Might be 2%, might be 3%. You don't always have to sell on the high level, right? I try to always talk the client down after I build value, right? I mean, some clients, they're just okay with it, but I've realized that this was actually most of the big deal that I sell, they end up canceling out. People find out later that something comes up and they just can't do it anymore, right? When you have a smaller deal, they actually stay in the book a little longer. So I realize now start talking the client down instead of trying to talk them up. Because I used to actually just talk them up based on their finances and what they can afford. So one thing is now start talking we're not taking the fine, start talk them down. Now it really depends on what kind of coverage we're looking for too. So if we're looking at $400,000 coverage with a miracle term policy, it's gonna cost you $300 a month. I mean, as long as we understand build that value, right? I'm still gonna sell at a high level. It's just a matter on figuring out, what's best for the client at this point. That's why I say it's an emotional sale because the client will actually see that you care for them, right? It's not just about, oh, I'm sitting here and just I'm gonna talk about numbers because we're not number people and we're not code people. We're people here trying to help them out in the best, coverage as possible. The Anyway, we say for step number 4, by the way, I never show codes. So step number 4, it goes straight into the application. I figure out what their health is, I figure out what they can afford, and I figure out what their why is. Now I just need to go based on that, figure out where I'm gonna go to get them, going with which company. I'm not just gonna be like, oh, here's 3 estimate which one's gonna work best for you. It's just not the way I work. The way I do it is here's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna go and start an application and we're gonna see if I can get you qualified. I'm gonna run the pre-check, which basically is gonna pre-approval through a miracle. If you get pre-approved and all good to go, we're gonna keep you in the $200 range that we discussed about, and we try to get you the coverage that you need to make sure that your mortgage get paid, or to make sure your funeral get paid, or to leave your legacy, whatever is the why is, right? So once we get that done, everything good to go, and we like what we see, we will probably be asking for voided checks so we can get things started here, okay? At this point, I've seen your ID, we can run that MIT for now. Let's see what we can get you. So I'm not actually asking them, I'm telling them what we're doing here, if that makes sense. And last step is usually is tie down. So that's when I'm actually letting them know, hey, everything we did today makes sense, correct? And let us make sure they understand. And then please don't cancel on yourself because if you do, you might not get this coverage ever again. You are one doctor visit away from ever get the coverage. I saw that from Brian. But start throwing stuff like that on them, kind of remind them why we're doing this. But guess what? Once you got a solid why, if you get a solid why, and if you get a good financial from them, figure out exactly what they can afford, and you talk them down into a smaller premium, you should be perfectly fine with that. Now, I'm gonna just kind of open it up for questions here. Who has questions? And I promise you I don't bite. So you can ask whatever question you want.
So for the instant internet leads, when I get there, it seems like I have a common issue of people having zero understanding of how I got their information and how do I overcome that?
Okay, so with that right there, I'll let them know, hey, could be someone you know or you saw fill the form out online requesting information regarding life insurance request. Yeah, my job is simple. I'm just gonna fill a form for MIP check, make sure that they qualify for the program, It's not really that much. Probably I'll try to keep you because these kind of instant internet this can run through like a low income people. So you probably wanna keep it. I usually keep about 50, 70 bucks a month. So I let them know it's not much, about 50, 70 bucks a month. Let's see what can get you qualified for. Do you have your ID for me?
Okay.
I think he was talking about over the phone.
No. I was talking
Oh,
about once I'm in the home.
in the
Oh,
home.
okay. All right. Sorry, Dylan.
No, you're okay.
Anybody else has any questions? You notice I did not bite Dylan, so I won't bite you neither.
Shadi, what happens when they have so much kickback about price in general? Like I was at a woman's house the other day. She couldn't even afford $20 a month. What do you do in that situation?
About the part that they cannot afford it, I feel like these are the stuff that I call it PS. And I call the client on it too. I call the client out on that. So the fact that they can afford their Netflix, their cable, their car payment, their car insurance, and their rent every month or mortgage, they can definitely afford 20, 30 bucks a month, right?
Right.
The one thing is if you're actually sitting with them, I let them know, hey, listen, so you tell me you can afford 20 bucks a month, where's your money going? You're making money, where's it going? That's why I dig deep into their finances before I actually present the prices.
But
I
what
don't totally
happens when they just, you can't, like my situation, the woman was just like, I can't, she was making like $1,200 a month and her bills were like $900 or something like that. And she's like, oh, well, I have this going on. And so I kept on going back to, you're going to leave, her why basically. And then I said, you're spending this much money on your groceries, for instance, you could cut back $20 on your groceries. Nothing would work for her. So I just, I don't know what to do in that type of situation.
Sure. I can promise you that I don't close everybody has to with me there.
Okay.
Sometimes, it's not gonna always work. But the one thing is, if you build a solid why we should get this.
Mhm.
Do you have a solid why by any chance?
Do I?
What was her why? The client why?
She didn't want to leave her daughter with her, final expense. She didn't want to, she
Okay.
didn't want her to have to pay for it.
So Sherry, you told me a minute ago that you wanted to make sure that your daughter is covered, so doesn't
Mhm.
have to worry about any of your funeral expenses. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's costing you about 20, 30 bucks a month, which is really not that bad because about 10% of your disposable income, you still have some money coming in anyway. And don't forget, a whole lot of coverage like that will also start building interest later on, so you can use it to pay for the policy itself. Obviously, it won't be something where it's going to pay forever, but does give you breaks in between some every once in a while. Now, what's holding you back here, the mommy asking Sherry? Is it me?
So you say that?
Yeah. Is it me? Did I do anything wrong here that you don't like me?
Oh, okay, that's good.
Oh,
Thanks,
yeah,
Shadi.
of course.
Shadi, will you touch on, and I know this may be very simple and elementary, but how, you taking the financial inventory? I know you're very detail oriented. I mean, I remember you like getting on the phone and helping people save money on their car insurance and stuff like that to build.
Yeah.
Can you just touch
Couple
on
times.
how you approach the financial inventory?
So when I go over their financial inventory, I actually just go in details of what their income looks like, and I ask them for their income. And when I say income, I let them know I need your income as an alimony, child support, any rent that you collect on, any IRA, 401k, I mean, anything that you're collecting on right now, I need to know. Then I dig deep into their expenses. And when I dig deep into their expenses, I don't just ask, hey, what's your expenses? What I do is I ask for their cable bill, Netflix account, um, whatever, if they have Hulu or any other those, Disney accounts, car payments. I ask about, their mortgage payment or rent payment, whatever it is, electric, water. I go really deep into that and I add them up myself, right? Here's the one thing I do too as well, right? why, like I would call a client, I never called a client like that yet, but I would call a client on that. For example, if I walk into a client house, when the client does have that, what is it, $18 per month Netflix, okay, because they have 3 or 4 accounts on it, or 4 people, 5 people are on it. Okay, well, here we go. That's where your money is going, dude. Take it down to like $10 a month. You have like only 2 accounts. Let the rest pay for their account. Why would you pay for their account on it, right? They can use your login at this point. That's one way. I'll talk to them about that. Talk to them. Oh, you're paying $200 a month on your cable. Go with DirecTV. You pay 120. You save $80 right there. So I actually let them know, hey, there's a way you can figure out a way to afford this policy, and let them know why it's really important. Let them know, hey, call this company, get a better rate there. Call this company, get better rate there. Call this company, get maybe better rate there. Now you probably save you about 100, $150 a month. We're gonna use $50 of that, $60 of that to put it towards your policy at this point. Just make sure you do that with a list, please. Did that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Of course. Anyone else have any questions?
Shadi, how do you go about when you give them the price? Like, because eventually you do have to say, this is what it's going to cost you.
Yeah. I already figured out the price when I actually got into their finances. Remember when I took all that out and I told them, when I keep you in the 10%, 10% disposable income,
Mhm.
right? So now I already done that part. So the other part is now I'm actually just trying to go lower than that, which why I'm trying to keep, so I can keep business in the book. So let's say, oh, 10% disposable, and now they're expecting to spend $300 a month because that's what their 10% is, or let's say $200 a month. So now, like, oh my God, I was able to get you for about 120. Oh my God, I was able to get you for about 130. That's amazing, and that's going to cover the whole mortgage, or that's going to cover the whole final expense, or that's going to cover the whole whatever. But I'm actually, talking them down now. I'm taking them down. I already start high, so they're expecting the high price. Now I'm getting them back down to like something that's gonna even be more comfortable for them. So I know I can keep them in the book. Did that make sense? That answer your question?
Yep.
Really? Any other question there? Okay, I guess there's no more question then. Okay.
Something.
Well, what that?
Oh, nothing. I thought there was a question in the chat. It's just Corey telling me I type fast.
Oh, that's Corey.
Yeah, I was
Hey,
like,
Corey,
no way.
anything
I
you'd
was
like
like,
to
no
add?
way Shadi's doing this right now.
No, man, I'm a fast typer. You didn't see that? Come on now.
Lightning McQueen over here.
Uh-huh. Corey, anything you'd like to add to this?
Oh, hold on. It was on the phone. Well, I would like to add more people should be asking questions. But I know no one likes to unmute. Sherry had a good question about the she mentioned about someone only having a certain amount of money left over at the end of the month. And that's totally fine, Sherry. Just remember, more appointments, the better. That's the magic sauce is the more appointments. You're gonna run into that a lot. And that's totally okay. But don't be afraid to not give them the chance. So when, Shadi's new approach of kind of, being the bigger person and bringing it back, same thing with that, right? Be like, just be honest with them and be like, hey, you really can't afford something like this. And if they say, hey, look, I'm willing to give up Netflix because Netflix just jumped to $20 a month. Maybe I can't afford a $20 payment. So
Exactly. Don't be afraid to bring that up on them. Just don't. It's what we do. It's people are actually putting their life insurance as last result, as like they don't need it. People don't understand that it's not a matter of if we use it, it's a matter of when.
Yep.
We're all gonna die one day. And I always let the client know that, hey, it's a matter of when, it's not a matter of if. And we all have like this client, she told me, oh man, I live till 90. Well, man, we all have an expiration date on our pots, and only God can see it. And no offense to you, man, if you see an expired product in your fridge, what would you do with it? So like, I don't know, throw it away. I'm like, exactly. And report can be thrown in the ground at no time. So get this policy in place, please.
Yep. And then I also see, how do you give the price? I never give a price up front. So a lot of you guys, a lot of my guys too, you guys go into it thinking that you're going there and giving them a quote.
Assume the sale.
I don't do that. I don't do that at all. So I do the quote tool for myself to kind of get a ballpark of where they're going to be. I figure out their expenses. I figure out what's left over. Now I know where I'm going and who I'm going with at this point, as I'm filling out medical and everything like that. And I like to play the game, the psychology game, and be like, hey, someone your age, you're 72, you're smoking, and in my experience, that's usually like, $110 a month. Let them know that while you're filling out the application, you're going through everything, filling it out. Now you say, hey, but if you're honest with me with your medical, right, in the back of your head, it's only going to be $75 a month. Give them a little bit higher price while you're filling it out, but tell them, hey, be honest with me in your medical report, because it might drop. Then once you get past that and initiate the underwriting and calculate, you can be like, hey, thank you for being honest with me. Make them feel good about themselves and say, it's only going to be $78 a month. Wow, am I surprised? Right? Play that psychology game with them. You're not doing anything bad there. You're just putting it into perspective that they can't afford it and that they do need it. But because they were honest, they got a cheaper rate. And that helps me a lot.
I like that. That's a good one right there. I'm gonna start using that too.
I also like that very much. That's very good, Corey. Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, and I think that if you're afraid to challenge them, because Shadi's very direct, and he has no problem doing it. Some other people like myself, like I've had a hard time really challenging people, and I started doing it more in the form of questions, and it doesn't come across.
I think you
as a
Brian got a
challenge.
call. Oh, sorry. You got a call from one of my clients complaining about me, didn't you?
Yeah, a couple times.
Hey, if you're not, and this is so true, if you're not getting kicked out of the house, you're not trying hard enough for that family. I've been kicked out
No.
so many times.
I agreed on that one.
I ain't leaving the house unless you're kicking me out or threatening to hit me.
Right.
I'll
But
be
what I'm
honest.
saying is, if you ask them, if you say to them, look, which is more important to you? Is it, your cable, or is it protecting your family? I'm not judging. I'm just asking you, because if it's your cable, then we're done here and I'll go, because they're not, because they're going to have to make some concession somewhere. It's not free. So even if that's extra money that they're putting away in their retirement, if they don't get life insurance, it is still some concession that they have to make in order to get this. It just has to be more valuable than something else that they're spending money on. And then they make the decision themselves.
And another tip, and another tip for you guys who, if you guys are doing final expense, I don't know if you know this, or maybe it's just like more or less up here, but I've had so many clients tell me like, hey, look, they understand if they get put into a nursing home or anything like that, their insurance, their life insurance is one of the first things that goes to pay for that nursing home. You know what I mean? So adding extra coverage to these people benefits them, because if they are literally on assistant living, their life insurance policies that they have with other people are going to go to pay that. And if when the time runs out, now the debt rolls downhill to any existing family members. And I don't know about you guys, but up here in the Northeast, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, nursing homes can be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, $11,000 a month. So take that into consideration and use that as fuel and fire. Hey, yeah, you got a $5,000 policy, but that's gone in the first month that you're away. So more coverage is always better coverage if they're really sick.
Good point. Any other questions, guys? Ask away. Neither one of us bite. You don't bite, Corey, right?
I don't bite.
All right, good. Nobody
I might
bites. you.
look
You
it.
can ask questions. All right. I guess there's no more questions then.